Welcome to another Kings of War battle report. Tourney report. Empire of Dust versus the Kingdoms of Men. 2150 points. The scenario was control. So I am still playing my variant of the Samuel S. Nordberg list. It was in the Dash 28 article, which I probably will put at the end of this somewhere so that you can read it again. So I'll just read off the list. If you've watched a couple of the battle reports lately, you see that I'm pretty much using it. But this is my version, I guess. It's only a little bit different, and I'll just explain where it is different. I have 4 regiments of pikemen, 3 troops of fanatics, 2 hordes of foot guard, both with a weapon upgrade and both with indomitable will, a hero on horse with indomitable will, 3 generals on winged beasts with the trickster's wand, the blade of slashing, and the mace of crushing, ASB with the Lute of Insatiable Darkness, and the last thing that's different than what Sam runs is the Pegasus with Indomitable Will. And part of that is because he runs 2300, I'm running 2150, so there's a little disparity in points there, and I couldn't figure out how to get another unit in there, and so I just made a decision to go with the Pegasus because he's a scoring hero. And throughout the games of this tournament that I played, he actually does very, very well, and as does the hero on the horse. So my new combo is kind of one of each, and I really think that that is very, very strong going forward with this particular list. So I kind of got a surprise when I came up to the table to play Larry. He handed me his army list on one sheet, and I was about to ask him how come there was only one sheet of paper. Where's the back sheets? And then I realized there's only 9 drops in the army because 5 of those drops were dragons of various kinds. So I was kind of shocked. So I'm going to read off the list and just tell you what's in it. 2 hordes of revenants, 2 hordes of enslaved guardians, 2 undead worms, 2 revenant kings on great flying worms, Apophagus, champion of death, and that is it. I was stunned. But the biggest thing is he only had 9 drops. I had 15. His unit strength was fairly low. I was under 20, I think 19. That's what it is, 19. And mine was 27. So if I played the scenario, I'd be okay. If I got into a fighting dragons contest, I knew I was going to be screwed. All right, so for deployment, he had so few drops. He just kind of punctured everything. He put like 3 dragons on the left, 2 dragons on the right. Both hordes of revenants, and then behind them the enslaved guardians, and that's pretty much it, because when you've only got that many drops, that's what you do. Over on my side, I put the Pegasus and one of the general on winged beast over there on the right hand side. Also, because there was nothing in my way and I'm trying to play control, I went ahead and stuck one of my hordes of foot guard there, and I stuck them in those woods in case the dragons wanted to charge, and I knew they probably could hurt me in there. Then a unit of pikes, and then it's just pikes, fanatics, and pikes, fanatics, and pikes, fanatics all the way down the table till you get to the very end, and that's where the other unit of foot guard went, because I was trying to get that other quarter. With as few drops as he had, either he's going to jump me or he's going to fight me. Well, I mean, the stuff that he had was going to have a hard time against four regiments of pikes, and then right in the middle of the regiments of pikes was the ASB with the loop to give me some nice inspiring. And I think I've had one of the griffins was, one of the general on winged beast was there as well, and then one was on the very, very far end. So I had a way I was going to get around him, every way I could get around him, left, right, and middle, with fast flying heroes. And so but I mean, it was a tall order over here on the right flank, because Popsis and 2 of the other dragons, the regular worms, the regular undead worms, were over on this side, and I had to do my best to keep them from rolling my line up on that end. The one thing about this game is that neither one of us had any magic or shooting. I think I had Bane Chant. That's it. That was the only spell of either one of us in the whole game. So the turns went incredibly fast. As a matter of fact, the game ended so fast that I went and watched the whole half of football, ate lunch, and drank 2 beers before the other guys had even finished their first game. So that tells you how quickly this game goes. And with my numerical advantage, I didn't waste any time. I ran the general on the winged beast general up on the right hand side with the Pegasus and turned him right. The Soul Hero went up behind the fountain there, which we determined was high enough to cover him. We just decided it was solid all the way to the top. The Foot Guard came up through the woods and just stick their nose out there. Everything else just pushed forward fast. Over on the left flank, yes, the other Griffin goes flying up there near the house and just about got into the range of the two dragons that are on the right side of his line. But I was just out of their arc, which is what I intended, but I thought I might have screwed it up. Because we started having to measure and using lasers, and I was like, rot-row, I really made a mistake on this side. But it didn't happen. The Foot Guard over there just pushed up as well. Biggest problem over there was they was kind of jammed up around all those houses and stuff. And probably what I should have done was hold the middle back a little more and then move that, go ahead and march that Foot Guard up to the left side of to the side of that church, and just turned it sideways to face down the line that way, and just use my Griffin to protect the back of my line over there. But I didn't do it. So anyway, that was a very, very, very quick first turn. Okay, in his turn, I had actually left the Pegasus in charge arc and in charge range of one of the dragons. I don't know if I intended to. I'm pretty sure I did, because I figured if he charged the stupid Pegasus, then I would kill him in the flank with my Griffin, or with my General on Winged Beast, or I would slam him with that whole horde of slam him in the flank with that whole horde of Foot Guard. A dragon like that would have zero chance against them. As you can see, though, he moves up there, and yes, 2 wounds. I think he actually killed him on the first go, but the general's standing right there, so having that nice 9-inch Inspire, I was good to go as far and ready to fight again and see what we can do to keep that dragon on the ground. With my general on Winged Beast whipping around that small army, he had no choice but to turn both of his dragons toward him instead of hopping over, because if he would have hopped over, he would have got slammed right by that unit of Foot Guard or the Fanatics or the Pikemen. So hopping over was not really an option, because he would have hopped right into range of my guys. So really all he could do was go into kind of a defensive circle there and turn the dragons so that I would have to charge them face on. So yeah, since the regular Undead Worm had bounced off of the Pegasus, the General on Winged Beast slammed into his flank. Over on the middle next to the fountain, for some reason I thought that was a woods early in the game, but then I realized he's standing on the hill, so I could see him just fine. So then the other General on Winged Beast took a flank charge into the other unit of the other regular worm. I know I was going to lose him to the Revenants, for a counter charge, but I had a unit of Foot Guard there that can handle those Revenants pretty easily, I thought, plus the Pikeman, plus the regular hero by himself. So even if I lost one of the generals, to me it really wasn't that big a deal. If I could have taken out 2 dragons this turn. So over here, the General on Winged Beast just went ahead and hopped the dragons, and now he was going to have to make him change his line even more. I didn't mind him being able to charge into my unit of Foot Guard. The reason why is if he could have charged in there, he would have 20 swings on force. He's not going to break them. And even with both dragons, he was not going to break the front of that unit. And then he would have got caught an invitation of a unit of pikemen into his flank, and then that would have been the end of them. Because once they're fighting, pikemen are fighting those flying creatures, they literally cannot hurt them. I mean, yes, they can if you got lucky, but the worst thing that you could possibly be doing is using your dragon to fight a bunch of pikemen. So that was I was in a good position there. Now he had no choice but to do something, because his enslaved guardians and the flank of his guys, where his revenants, was now hanging out in the wind as well. So he had to do something to turn around. Over here, the general with the blade of slashing and the Pegasus popped dragon number 1. Dragon number 2 was able to survive despite the flank charge, and now I'm about to catch a charge from those revenants in the flank, I'm pretty sure. So now Apophis, he sprains his trap and charges headlong into the General on Winged Beast. The very wounded worm charges into the Pegasus, who's down 2 wounds, and we'll have to see what happens there. But on the hill, yes, the other general on winged beast, took one in the flank. Took a chance on one shot in that dragon because I mean, it's 14 swings for threes and anything but. And I rolled, I mean, I did 9. That's pretty good. But it just wasn't enough. But I didn't mind crippling one, as long as, and giving up one of my generals because we're playing control. These dragons and stuff don't mean anything to me. They have 1 unit strength. So as long as I could keep his off of me and from killing my unit strength, it doesn't matter. Just losing these models is no big deal. So believe it or not, both of my flying creatures shrugged off the attack. Yes, they were both wavered, but they were both alive, and that was the key point. Now, up on the hill, the Revenants disposed of my General on Winged Beast up there. Has now started turning down to come toward my pikemen. But you can see I'm in a position to do something sneaky because my hero on horse is just sitting there waiting to catch an unsuspecting guy by himself. This is in the battles when you realize that if he had even one surge caster, even the most basic one, even just an ASB with the tome, he could have eat my General on Winged Beast up. But all he really could do right here is turn everything toward him. And that just looks so weird that his whole army is turned toward that one model. And he had to do it sideways there if the other ones, because otherwise I could jump over and charge him. So I was I was totally surrounded by bad guys. I probably didn't move far enough forward to exploit this. Matter of fact, I know I didn't. But I was just thinking, how's he going to get across the table with no surge at this point in time? And me kind of pinning him back against the table edge. So I think maybe the biggest thing I should have done was be more aggressive on the left where those guys under those trees. But the issue is that I didn't know if I was going to get jumped over to catch the corner in the back, or I needed to go get the one on the left. So I just kind of left them there, which I kind of vacillated. But in the end, I think it's probably the best choice was just to be able to pick and choose which side to use. So yeah, from behind the fountain, the brave hero on his horse charges into the dragon and pops it. Yes, indeed. The foot guard decided to come on out of the woods and play since the threat level had gone way down and was starting to move across the table. I really wish I'd have moved him out sooner than I did to kind of get in better position. But you can see both of my other flying heroes, they're wavered. I just backed them up as far as they could back all the way to the table edge because whichever one he was going to charge, I was going to kill them, kill whichever dragon that was. If that one lived, or if Apopus lived, the foot guard would absolutely take them out. So the General on Winged Beast decided it was time to just get the heck out of Dodge. After causing the entire army to flip around, he just bailed. He just took off and ran to the middle of the table, left his back turned to him and everything. It didn't matter because there was no good place to go without getting a dragon or the slave guardians or something in there. The cool thing I did though was move that unit of pikemen up to the edge of the church there, and now he could actually see the flank of those dragons sitting there. And like I said, dragons don't want to be fighting pikemen. That is like a lose-lose situation. I had creeped all 3 units of my fanatics up there now and was bearing down on range of his unit of revenants there. And here's just a little bit better shot. You can see the guy sneaking up behind the house there, trying to get into either the flank of the revenants or into one of the dragons if it forgets about us hiding behind this church over here. So during his turn, he had turned everything back around. The revenants were turned facing toward the center of the board, and this is the aftermath of my turn, where all 3 units of fanatics slammed into that unit of revenants and one-shot it. I could not believe it. I did 20-something points of damage from those guys. One of them had got Bane chanted, so he was a little heftier than the others. One was hindered, but I still rolled like 6 hits and 6 wounds. So really good roll. One shot at a whole horde of revenants, which is not a very, very easy thing to do. I think their morale's 24. So that was a good one. He had backed up a Popkus or Popfist, whatever his name is, and I hit him back in with the Griffin and the General on Winged Beast, and the hero this time, and left the Pegasus guy by himself, just to try to keep him grounded, keep him from trying to get into my backfield of my army. No, I was pretty happy about getting rid of that unit. There was really no super duper reason that I had to do that because I was playing control, and I'm sitting right on the middle of the table with 3 regiments of pikemen and a general, giving them the blessing of love around them of Inspire. But yeah, it did kind of push him back for a turn. But like I said, in retrospect, there's really no reason to have done it because the unit strength is going to be stuck behind stuff if I would have just stayed there and maybe just get targets of opportunity or something. It was kind of a mistake in reality because, I mean, in playing control, you can see all the way across the middle of the table. I have, I'm poised there. I mean, if I'd have just waited toward the end of the game and they just pushed all 10 unit strength across, I might have been able to go ahead and take the middle one. Instead, I got greedy and killed that unit because right there he has 10, 11, 12. But I mean, I still had. I guess I did need to kill one just to be sure that I could get rid of him. But anyway, over on this flank, his turn, he went ahead and charged back into the General on Winged Beast, and this time killed him. Can't keep a good man down for long. I think he got tired of getting beat on by all those flyers. You can see here he's starting to move everything forward a little bit. He moved the Revenants off the hill. The Enslaved Guardians are moving up, and now I'm really feeling why I wasn't more aggressive with those foot guard earlier in the game. I mean, I kind of played around with it, but because I knew none of those dragons could hurt him on the front. I don't know why. I was just kind of wimping around with them, but now he's starting to come down off the hill, and if I would have been up where I should have been, that I could have totally kept that from happening. But I really think here in retrospect that you can see the turn marker. It's turn 5, and he has the last turn. So I just wanted to try to right there now. That unit is in the bottom right corner. The pikemen are in the are part of the middle, and of course the other pikemen in the middle. So I've got 7 there, but there is a lot of stuff bearing down on me, and I really either should have made a decision to either spring forward and try to take his, or just stop, just pull back and not worry about it. And I think eventually I kind of half-assed pulled back, which was probably not the right decision. All the fanatics except one bid it for their insolence. At this point, I was just turned 5, and I have all 4 of my pike units alive, and all of my foot guard hordes alive. So just unit strength alone, that is a lot right there. That's 22. It is 22. Then the general there makes it 23 out of the 27 of my entire army. So I'm looking in pretty good shape here as far as unit strength for a scenario. So since my Pegasus had 1 unit strength, he went ahead and charged it to get rid of it because he saw the same thing I did. That Pegasus in that corner over there would have made it 0, and with my horde here in this bottom corner, at least they can negate each other. So it's 1 in each. So that's kind of a draw as far as that side of the board is concerned. So there's no points being given or taken. So right here you see the last unit of fanatics being killed by the dragon over there. It was actually a Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm, but that's hard to say. I'm just going to call it a dragon. But you can see he's priming up here to try to rush my middle, and like I said, my mistake was either I should have pushed into his middle or just not done anything about the middle, because right now I have both of the left areas, and there's nothing he can do about either one of them because of so much unit strength in each one of them. So I've got both lefts, I've got the bottom right hand corner. All I really need to do is hold the middle to win the game. So like I said, pushing forward probably at one point was not the right idea if you're playing control and trying to play carefully. So yeah, his dragon wasn't able to take out the fanatics, so this time he added the Enslaved Guardians in there. Yeah, those boys will do it. As you can see on the right here, his Revenants went ahead and charged into my pikemen. They hit on 4s, now they're hitting on 5s. Very, very difficult to take out pikemen without some help. His dragon had went ahead and charged over to try to get rid of my ASB, to get rid of any of my Inspire, but that kind of blew up too. I mean, dragons that hit on 4s are really swingy on dice, and I think he did 2 wounds. So my ASB was alive and well. Could not use Bane Chant, but was survived the game. So everything charged forth on his turn 6 to try to get to the middle of the table. Dragon and the Enslaved Guardians charged into 1 horde of pikemen. The the Revenants countercharged back in. One pikeman unit was left alone, but after all that, it was a push. There was not enough unit strength there to take the middle of the table for me, because I think I may have had another unit that's on the edge of this here that I didn't see, but at this point I have the two clearly have the two sections on the far left, which is the one that's going to get the game. So I had three sections to his two sections, and I know which two he had. He had the one with the enslaved guardians in it, and he had the one that his other dragon was in. And so it was a tight game, actually. Hell, it may have even been a draw now that I look at it, but we counted it up at the time, and I won 3-2, and I was pretty happy with it because I'd never had to fight that many dragons before. So my first year of playing Kings of War last year, if somebody would have came at me with 5 dragons, I would have conceded and just walked away from the table. But this time, I sat down and played it out, and I think I realized now that what I didn't know then is that, things like unit strength is important. Things like having units that are very hard to take down is important. And despite the fact that something looks nasty, it's not necessarily nasty unless you let it be nasty. In other words, I kept my none of those dragons, except maybe one over there on the Fanatics, got a flank charge on my army the entire time. So that was a key thing for me to keep those dragons. And then I kept the dragons over on the right hand side of the table totally shut down. Now I did have 3 flyers or 4 flyers of my own and another guy, but the my flyers were able to keep his in check. I mean, I wasn't going to beat them. I actually did kill 2 of them, but I mean, I lost 2 of my generals and my Pegasus in return. So that was the difference, is that the those guys did a good job, and the fact that some of his dragons are shambling, would in some cases would be a strength, depending on how you played them. But all that did was let me choose to attack them whenever I wanted to with the generals on Winged Beast, because they couldn't. I mean, I could always outcharge them just about. So just a matter of getting position and holding them. And a shameless plug, I just put a new article over on the Kings of War new players site on about how to battle flyers, and so maybe it was unfortunate that Larry had to play against me after I'd just written that article, and was really pretty well poised to fight against an army with a large amount of flyers, because I had essentially every counter to flyers in my army. So probably wasn't as good for him to play against as he would against somebody else. One of the other guys said his army would have had no chance against it, and so that kind of made me feel good that my army did. As far as my army list, I'm still using the same one. I'm just kind of honing it to perfection. The Trickster's one again turned out to be not worth it, just because nobody I played had any magic at all. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's something about here that versus other places, but I'm going to leave it in there. You never know when you need it. You never know when there's some stupid Twilight Kin mage or an Elf Archmage that needs a little bit of Trickster one love, and so I'm going to keep it in the list. And then the thing I did different than Sam's is, I mean, I have the Indomitable Will on the 2 units of Foot Guard, and I think just like he found out, you really don't need it if you've layered all of your attacks and stuff the correct way. The Indomitable Will isn't, at least on those 2 ace units, is probably not essential. I mean, if they were standing in the front line taking charges, yeah, but not just the kind of coming in this trail motion of sweeping in behind the generals on Winged Beast. Maybe you don't need it. Maybe take 20 points to do something else with it. I'd even contemplated turning the ASB into what Sean Dietrich and I call a Gandalf Wizard, which is Inspiring Talisman, switch to the Fireball on him, and that way he has and Bane Chant, and so that way he's the perfect support wizard. He just stands there doing everything you need him to do, and if the last turn of the game you got like that unit, in this case that unit of enslaved guardians that has 9 or 10 wounds on it, heck, that 1/3 die lightning bolt might be all it takes to kill it. So there's some thoughts there that might be a better idea, but the problem is that the Army abandons all the infantry because of the generals, and so you really not need as my opponent calls them, the super inspired. The super inspired is big because even in this afterthoughts picture, look at all the units there. All three of those pikeman units are inspired by that one model, so that's pretty cool. So pikemen did amazing. I mean, look at this. This is the last picture game. There's 4 units of pikemen left. They're just so hard to kill unless you have some sort of range threat. They're very hard to kill, or you just put an ace unit slamming into them. Their job basically is to hold 1 turn. If you'll see right here, they held 1 turn, except against the Revenants they held more because Revenants don't swing or hit on, are going to be hitting on 5s, and so that really reduces the amount of casualties they took. So the pikemen did great. The foot guard didn't do anything except hold table quarters, which is weird because that's basically giving somebody 500 points of my army to do nothing with. The 3 generals did great just because of did great just because of keeping the dragons down. The Pegasus and the hero, I mean, I'm just going to bring in just this total special side shout out. That's almost the Sam was running 3 regular heroes at 2,300 points, which is probably what I would do at 2,300 points. But when I got to 2,150, I was kind of jiggling with points. You can't get the 3rd one in there, even though you have the points to do it, because you don't have enough unlocks. So you got to come up with 2 decent ones as opposed to 3 good ones. So what I did was I just took I took some points that I'd saved and put the one of the heroes on a Pegasus, and that thing was key the entire battle. I mean, he was just that one extra thing because they've got the 3 generals, and now you got like a little escort guy that goes with them, because that way, because they both charge in together, it's not that they kill stuff, it's the fact that the other guy can only attack one of them in return. And so that leaves the Pegasus hanging around, or they swing at him and don't realize his armor is exactly the same as the general on Winged Beast. And so he doesn't take enough damage to break because then the general is there to inspire him. So it's kind of a vicious circle, and it happened. It's happened every game lately that I've used him. So I think that compromise between having, Sean asked me yesterday whether it would be, you would rather have 2 heroes or 2 Pegasus. And I'm like, no, honestly, I think I like the 1 of each better than I would like the 2 of either, because of just the flexibility. And the last thing about it is they can score. In a scenario like this on control, you get really tempted with something like that, just to march it behind your army, and whichever quarter you need to be in, you just blip him in there, and either negate it, add some unit strength if you need it to win it, or just if they've left it unoccupied, he just moves in there and takes it. It's for 90 points. It's crazy not to use him, and I put Indomitable Will on him, and that helped him all the time. And both of them had Indomitable Will, which I think makes those 2 really annoying heroes even better, because hey, I got wavered. Oh, I'll just flip Indomitable Will on and go somewhere else for a turn until I kind of catch my breath, and I'll come back and get you again. So those two models, I have to say, is kind of everything else in the army is going perfectly, and adding those 2 kind of optimum right now really makes the army better, because it's hard for somebody to deal with. I mean, you got the Griffins running around out there, then all of a sudden here comes this stupid hero, this Pegasus, and 1 Griffin is like a little triumvirate of horror to try to deal with, because they're just annoying. I mean, they don't just beat anything down, but they just pile 3 of them. They can pile into you, or they can wait, and you can charge in. When a couple of times I charged in late when someone's already wounded with the hero, and put some more wounds, and he was rolling out his ass. I have to admit that too. I mean, I was rolling 3 hits and 3 wounds almost every time I rolled with him. So again, very, very powerful hero. This was a hard game just because I kind of slowed down in the middle here when I should have just I should have just held back the middle and just conceded his keeping that quarter over there, the middle section, that middle third, and me keeping my middle third, and just won with the 2 on this end over here. But you never know how the game's going to go, especially with him having so much flyers. He might have been able to bounce something into his section and score. But anyway, hard-fought game. So I won my first game of this event, and on to the second.